session 2021. I'm Imin, a final year real estate student, and I'm very pleased to be your MC for today. Please note that today's session will be recorded. I would now like to invite Professor Lam Kee Poh, Dean of the School of Design and Environment, to deliver his welcome address. Prof. Lam, please.
Hi, thanks. Well, very good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all very much for taking time on Saturday to attend this information session. My name is Lam Kee Poh. I'm the Dean of the School of Design and Environment at the National University of Singapore. And the Department of Real Estate is one of 4 units within the school, together with architecture, building, and industrial design. So I know things doesn't seem to be looking good in terms of the COVID pandemic. We are entering into yet another phase of very challenging situation. With that, I hope all of you are staying safe and staying healthy. So yet under all these circumstances, I think it highlights to us in the built environment sector the importance of our sector in terms of influencing, impacting, and supporting the sort of pandemic or post-pandemic kind of situation. You all may or may not know, the real estate in terms of an asset class is by far the largest asset class globally. And I think I was reading some report, the last report estimated to be in the region of $280 trillion, which is significant. And my colleagues here can correct me if I got some of these numbers wrong. So it's by far the largest asset class compared to any other sector. Many of us might be, or many of you might be familiar with the sort of financial sector, right? All the stocks and shares and trading and so on. They are only at around 170, 180 trillion. So they are behind the real estate sector. And I think the reason is very simple. Every one of us lives in some building, right? We live in our home, we work in offices, we go to malls, and then we go to sports for leisure. So we spend actually 90% of our time inside buildings, which may not necessarily be a very good thing, but that's been the study. So buildings and real estate is just all around us. And so as a sector, it's really very, very critical, as I said, supporting feature for our live, work, and play. And particularly now in the episode of the pandemic, a lot more consideration has to be given, right, to the way we not only develop, design, build, and more importantly now, how we operate, how we manage the facilities. So it's, on the one hand, it's a very challenging time. On the other hand, we could see it as a really, really exciting and challenging opportunity, particularly for incoming, potential students in this program of real estate moving forward. I think, as they say, out of every crisis arise opportunities, and that's really true. And so to take that on as a challenge would be something that hopefully would attract you, the students, applicants, to take on this particular program of study in real estate. Now, of course, given the magnitude, right, of the kind of value, obviously, it isn't something that one expertise team can do everything. It is indeed a multidisciplinary approach to handling the built environment. Real estate clearly plays an important role, mostly in terms of looking at the financial capabilities or feasibility of doing the development in terms of finance, in terms of investment. That's clearly an important starting point, but it's also something that drives and influences the nature of development in support of major agendas. Besides dealing with health and wellness, and then the pandemic put that very much in focus, but even more critically in the long run is to address issues of sustainability as well as resilience. And I'm sure you all have been hearing these terms being used repeatedly very much. And here in Singapore, being a very, very small country with little or no natural resource and a very low-lying terrain generally, it's particularly susceptible to these issues of climate change. And therefore, the whole concerted effort by the various disciplines working together to address these challenging issues for Singapore is going to be a major need moving forward. And all of you are aware too, the government of Singapore recognizes this in a very, very deliberate way and has promised or dedicated over the next 10 or more years, $100 billion to deal with infrastructure development, right? To counteract these issues of climate change and rising sea levels and urban heat island, etc., etc. So that's the big context of real estate. The multidisciplinary approach is something that as a school and certainly as a university, we are very committed to offer our students coming to NUS. Regardless of your main program of study, your major, we continuously develop new curriculum platform for students to actually learn across different disciplines. Many of you may have heard that, for example, recently, the Faculty of Engineering and our School of Design and Environment rolled out a common curriculum, right? So that the incoming students in this coming cohort will be given opportunity to study many of those common curriculum subjects to better equip them with a broader base sort of knowledge, whilst giving them the flexibility and freedom to choose to major in certain areas. So that's something that NUS continues to offer. And even as you pick and choose to come to the real estate program, I want to make you rest assured that the opportunities for cross-disciplinary learning are going to be there. Personally, I'm an architect by training. And I do a lot of work in engineering, for example, and in building performance and building science. So those are going to be the necessary kind of knowledge and experience in the future to better equip the students, the graduates of the future, to tackle those very complex, challenging problems of the future. So that's something that I hope you all will take to heart and choose to come and be prepared to be exposed to all these different wonderful opportunities that NUS and the Department of Real Estate will offer you. So I want to just close by thanking my colleagues in the department for organizing, the head, Prof. Sing Tian Fu, as well as colleagues for organizing this session. And I want to particularly thank our alumni, Lucas, Isaac, Tianfen, Wei Jie, and Karis, for taking their Saturday off to join us in this session and to provide some input and advice and with regard to their own journey as a student, and now as people working, as folks working in the industry. So I hope you will have a very informative session this afternoon, and please, feel free to ask questions to both all the colleagues, as well as if you have questions that you want to direct to me, you're most welcome to contact me directly as well. I'll be happy to share with you some of my experiences. So with that, thank you very much. Have a great session.
Right, thank you, Prof. Lam, for the very personal and insightful sharing. So I'd now like to invite the Head of Department of Real Estate, Professor Sing Tian Fu, to speak. Prof. Sing, please.
Right. Hi, thank you, Min. Good afternoon. Thanks, Prof. Lam, for the opening and welcoming speech. I would like to thanks again for all your participation in this virtual info session. Like what Prof. Lam had mentioned, real estate is one of the largest asset classes in the world. I think it have also not just an in terms of value, it's also have very far-reaching kind of impact everybody, everyone's in the society and also company, and impacting the way we live, work, and play, especially during these current pandemics. I think this real estate become even more important, because I think the way we used to work, live, and play may have to readjust. I think a lot of changes we have to adapt in life. I think this also involve real estate. If you look at our shopping mall, offices, how you adjust your space at home for work from home kind of arrangement and so on. And despite all these asset classes and the value of this real estate asset, I think real estate is the area which is what I would say, area which is least understood by many people. I think people not just least understood, they also widely misunderstand these real estate sectors. So today's, I think it's good to invite our more recent alumni. I think we have 5 alumni in this virtual session to share with us their career pathway in different aspects. You can actually see the career aspect of our alumni in different aspects, ranging from corporate real estate to finance, then to the public sector as well. There are actually others job opportunity. Due to time constraint, we're not able to actually invite everyone to join and share their experience here. But these are some of the most recent alumni. Actually, they're working in different sectors, and ranging from the corporate real estate, finance aspect, how to manage institutional portfolio, and all the way to our public policy is very important in our public policy, industry policy, land use policy, and so on. Our graduate actually involved in this quite a wide spectrum of areas affecting the daily life of our community. So I think there'll be a lot of questions. I suppose many of you have a lot of questions. Would like to find out more about this real estate course. Without further ado, again, I will thank you for taking your time off to join us this afternoon virtual session. Without taking further time off this session, I would like to invite my colleague Kane to share with you about the courses, and thank you again. Welcome to this session.
Okay, hi. Can you guys hear me? I don't know what's okay. Yes, thank you so much for taking the time to attend our virtual info session. And we're really excited that you are here, because based on those statistics, we can see that a lot of you are waiting to find out more before you make a milestone decision in your education path. So I am the deputy head for academic, and together with my team of colleagues, and I have Dr. Grace Wong with us as well, who is the program director for the undergraduate studies. We basically, take care of curriculum matters, internship, mentorship programs at the department. So what I'm gonna present today is about the structure of the program, touch a little bit on why you should consider um, coming to our program and to be trained to be a real estate professional. Like what Prof. Singh has mentioned, real estate is one of the most misunderstood and the least understood courses everywhere, not just within Singapore. It has to do with the asset itself. And to do well in real estate, one would have to have a multidisciplinary curriculum, and we have ensured that at Department of Real Estate. And that is through years and years of expertise and curation in order to achieve that. You can see that there are, maybe you would not know, but we know in our profession that because it is a valuable asset class, there is demand for real estate departments within universities. And NUS is in the sense had that history. And so we are one of the largest departments in the world, actually. So the curriculum that we have are designed by experts and also industry leaders. We always have consultative committees that we would invite their opinions on our program so that we keep our curriculum updated. And our focus is a lot to do with experiential learning. Unfortunately, this has been disrupted where it comes to overseas exposure. But internship is still going very strongly despite COVID, and we treasure that relationship with the industry, and we're able to launch internship without much disruption during this time. So these are basically our focus, what we want out of it, and this is why the info session is something that we really treasure your time in coming and listening to us. And the idea is that we really want to nurture the talent and the people with passion in real estate to come and join us to basically manage and to build wealth in this asset class. So that comes our nurturing and growth mindset. We believe that what you did previously in your O levels, A levels, might not have the same projection of how you would do well in our program, and but we want you to keep an open mind and come and explore them. Because of our long history, then joining our program will plug you into our strong alumni network. And these alumni tend to have extensive experience, not just within Singapore, but globally. So maybe just a little bit on the background, and I know that you probably would have a lot of options and many different universities to go to choose from, right? But NUS is well known, and our ranking has been very consistently at 11. And Prof. Lam basically leads the School of Design and Environment, and the Architecture and Built Environment has been ranked 6th in 2021. This is the recent ranking. NUS is always ranked first in Asia, and the real estate department, like I say, is one of the largest department in the world, and it has been ranked #1 in Asia. This is script from the NUS website, and why I'm showing you this, even though I'm just from the Department of Real Estate, is that you need to understand how NUS structures your education when you make a choice. So you're not just making a choice into your course of degree, but you are really making a choice into being a family, or to being an environment that nurtures you in all different aspects, not just your major. So NUS is really top 10 in 16 subjects. And this is not just top 10 in Asia, but top 10 in the world. And why I mentioned this, so architecture, it's here, and built environment, it's here where we belong, is because you will have space within your curriculum in NUS to go to other departments and faculty to take courses, because there's enough scope for you to do that, and I'll touch on that a little bit, so just bear that in mind. The structure of our program is a 4 years degree program, and there are classes of honors classification, but what's important is that we are accredited by professional bodies. So locally, it's accredited by the SISV, or the Singapore Institute of Surveyors and Valuers. And then globally, we are accredited by Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. So accreditation means that you invite people over, and they will investigate and they will analyze your program to make sure that your syllabus is current and kept up to standards by these professional bodies. So this is what I mean by when you want to think about which university to belong to, you got to think about things like how a particular university could fulfill your potential. So here at NUS, you do have program requirements as part of your graduation requirements, and that's occupying a space of 108 MCs. MCs are modular credits, and if you take, say, one subject, that is roughly on average about 4 MCs. Okay, so but out of this, it's not just studying for your real estate. So for example, if you choose real estate, you have a broad-based education going for general education modules, which is 20 MCs. So that's around 5 subjects. And then you also have unrestricted elective, which you would take from other faculties who will offer these unrestricted electives, and it will add up to 32 MCs. So you do have to consider the whole suite of available programs, or like the flexibility for you to kind of shape your own interest and passion when you make a choice of which university to choose from. So within Department of Real Estate, of course, out of this 108 MCs, then you have a choice of doing certain restrictive electives. So this is not, these are fixed. Essential means that you don't have a choice, but you do have choices here in your restricted electives within departments that only you will be able to take. And then this will, unrestricted electives means that you can go outside of the department to fulfill these requirements. Okay, so a little bit about our program, and then I'll keep it brief so that we can go to the meat of the info session, which is to speak to our alumni. It's broadly categorized into 3 different areas. So you will have investment and finance, and these are some of the subcategories that we focus on, the themes. And then we'll train you in terms of public policy and planning. And lastly, business and development. So you can see that the real estate course is actually it's very business-based some kind of course. And if you have more interest in finance, then you can specialize in real estate finance specialization. And later on, our speakers will be able to tell you what their experience have been for the specialization. So in terms of career path, and I won't go into detail here because this is part of our brochure, it's really a very long leaf career path. And part of the reason is because there's so many things to learn about real estate. And there's so many areas to go into. You do not have to be stuck in a particular area. Like if you are in consulting, you don't have to always be in consulting. You can move over to development, for example. And then if you are in development, you can also move across. So and the fact that it is a long-lived asset means that you do have, you do have the longevity to count on. So these are some of our employers, and we form relationships with them, and that is very important, and it's part of our social capital as a department, because it helps us to focus very clearly what sort of talent is needed in the industry, and also to ensure that we are able to prepare well in advance before the student graduates, in terms of mentorship program as well as internship programs. All right. I think I'm gonna stop soon. All right. So, and some of you would have questions on admission, direct admission with minors. We will take those questions in the chat group. One of the nicest things about a virtual info session is that people tend to be less shy when they ask questions. So I am inviting you to ask whatever questions you have in the chat, and we will answer them in the chat. All right. And if we can't answer them, then we'll make sure that Candy will reach out to you with our answers. So what is interesting is that if you're interested in finance, you can do the real estate finance specialization. But if you are interested in urban planning, you can actually move on to do what we call a CDP, which is a concurrent degree program, meaning that at the end of your third year, when you're going on to your fourth year, you declare that you want to try out for the MUP, which is the Master of Urban Planning. And then there will be a selection exercise. And when you get in, all you have to do is to complete an extra year beyond your fourth year. So in 5 years, you will graduate with a bachelor in real estate and a master of urban planning. So that really appeals to some of our students, and there's a range of the number of students who have done that per cohort. It's a handful. It's about 5 to 7. Right? And you can also go for a double degree program. These are not restricted to just BBA. We do have students who did double degree in engineering, civil engineering, and double degree in geography. Okay, student exchange program is part of what NUS offers. Unfortunately, all these things are, disrupted by external reasons, COVID, the pandemic. Right. What we still have is the real estate internship and work experience internship. Every year, we will go out and get the employers to participate. And the happy problem for us is that students, we tend to have more places than student take up. So you will not be, in the sense, a situation where you won't be able to find an internship. All right. We are a very small program, like around 120 per cohort, 250. And being small means that we can be very nimble, and we can also ensure quality of how we teach, how we train our students. One of the things that we are very proud of is the industry relationship that we have, and that we are able to tap on all these veterans in the industry to act as mentors to our students. And basically, a small cohort means that your teacher will know you better, your lecturers will know you better, and you will know each other better too. It's a nice community, and there will be more opportunities for you to shine. So these are some of our well-known alumni. And of course, they are of an older generation. We have a younger generation for you today. And they will talk about their respective journey, and how they have made the choice to do real estate when they were your age. But for the previous info session, you will be able to still access them through videos, and you can still hear some of the veterans alumni who will be able to share their experience. Okay. Some of you had posted on questions in your info session, and sort of asking the question as, well, real estate is really interesting. I look at your curriculum, it really is interesting. I understand that real estate is a very valuable asset class, and I'm really excited, but could you tell me why the demand for the real estate course is low? And I can basically tell you that it is an asset class that most people think that they know, and also most people get it wrong. All right. This is James Grasskamp's quote, and people within the real estate industry understand this very well. You know, this is, I'm going to just go ahead and talk about his quote. So a Neanderthal developer once rolled a rock to the entrance of Hive and created real estate. So roll a rock into a cave and there you have its real estate. What makes real estate? It's providing the natural void with some additional attribute not found in nature, and creating warmth, security, and exclusiveness. So what this Neanderthal did is that he had successfully interlaced land, which is a finite resource, with an artifact, which is the rock, to serve an unmet need of a space, right? Which is a market. So real estate is therefore a manufactured product and is artificially differentiated, cubage with an institutional time dimension, and is designed to interlace society with the natural resource, which is land. It is a very complex asset class. In order to do well or to understand this asset class, you require expertise and you require extensive training. And this is why it is not an asset class that can be easily understood, or that people have it in mind. And my colleagues will agree with me, and they will probably chuckle at this quote from Patrick Lacombe, which is a professor in real estate in Canada. In the perfect world of finance, there will be no real estate. Real estate is heterogeneous, lumpy, and illiquid, traded on inefficient markets, dominated by asymmetric information. And real estate is therefore heresy to the financial orthodoxy. A lot of you are probably thinking of, taking a business sort of degree versus real estate, which is very specialized. But because it is specialized and it takes a lot of understanding to manage this asset class well, then what we teach in our modules tend to also cover what will be taught in, say, finance and investment, the very basic principles. And the complex nature of real estate is what makes it interesting. And people who are in it, the circle of real estate professionals who know each other so well, always understand that that's what makes real estate very interesting and an experience worth embarking on. So this is what Prof. Lam was saying when he said that real estate, it's really the most valuable asset class. When you do a business degree, you probably spend a lot of time understanding very basic stuff like stocks and shares and bonds. And it's under here for stocks, which is equity. This is how much equity is worth. And real estate is 3.2 times of equity. And then if you want to think about debt, is 2.2 times of outstanding securitized debt. And for us, we are really excited about how real estate is quickly changing. It's very different from, say, a generation ago, the markets of real estate. And there are, because of increasing wealth, it brings about a plethora of career opportunities. And with that, I will end my presentation so that we will move on to the interesting bits from our alumni.
Okay, right.
Right, yeah,
Thank you very
thanks,
much.
Prof. Sky. Yeah, so now we'll let Prof. Singh introduce the speakers. As mentioned by Prof. Sky, we have a panel of alumni here. So Prof. Singh, please.
I think thanks, Amy. Thanks, King, for quick introduction and lectures on this real estate asset. I think many of y'all may be still trying to understand what is real estate classes, because I think this is very complex in nature. Just put it simply, a lot of you are comparing real estate and business, right? Both are specialized. In real estate, this is an asset class. It's a specialized asset class. When you do business, you are specialized in discipline, right? You learn finance discipline, you learn marketing discipline, you learn policy discipline, and so on. I think in the real estate areas, you need to know this multifaceted. You need to have this multi-disciplinary kind of skill set to manage this special asset class. I mean, just put simply in this sense, I think beyond the business, I think there are, we mentioned earlier, there's a lot of social policy impact as well, because I think we also have to manage the scarce resources, especially our land resources. Later on, to our alumni who are working in JTC and SLA will share with you a little more about industrialization policy and also the land policy. These are very important public policy because it's actually affecting our developments, the urban growth, not just next 5 years. We're talking about long-term plan, we're planning for next 20 years and so on. And there are a lot of issues like earlier on, Prof. Lam mentioned about climate changes and pandemics impacts and so on. This actually had to be taken into consideration when we plan our public policy. So, okay, without further ado, let me we'll start with our panels. I think our panels, actually, we didn't arrange them in any sequence, and in terms of years of graduation, as mentioned earlier, all our 5 distinguished alumni graduated in the just last 5 years, 2015 to 2018. So they are very recent alumni. So their experience and their career path will be very, very relevant for many of y'all who are trying to understand or trying to find out more about career pathway for real estate graduate. So let me introduce our first speaker. Kelly's Tan is younger amongst the 5 speakers. I think Kelly's graduated in 2018 with the first class honor in real estate from NUS. Kelly's is actually with Shell, a very, very non-typical, non-conventional real estate company. I think Shell, why is he working in Shell? She's not a chemical engineering, she's not in chemistry specialization, but why is he in Shell? Why is he working in Shell? Kelly San joined Shell as part of Shell graduate program as a portfolio advisor for the corporate real estate. Maybe we have to find out from Kelly later, what is portfolio advisor role in Shell? What do they do with corporate real estate? Because I think if you look at Shell, not just a petroleum company, they have a lot of corporate real estate as well across the region, across the world. So her roles, her last 2 years of experience, basically in strategy and portfolio planning, master plan activities, asset and lease management for the APAC region. It's a very important role because I think they occupy a substantial amount of real estate across different regions. And prior to this current job, I think Kelly's completed her internship in Ascendant Indian Trust. This is the opportunity, as just Prof. Xia mentioned earlier on, opportunity for you to actually have internship, learning experience, and so on. So she has actually have internship experience with Ascendant Indian Trust. This is a real estate investment trust, where she contributed in various assignments relating to asset management and investor relationship. And she also undertook internship with FICE organization. FICE is actually a developer, a local developer. She has experience working with merger and acquisition team, doing due diligence acquisition in Australia, Japan, and internship with Rain and Horn in KL, conducting land and building valuation. Kelly's, maybe I will hand over to you to share a little bit about your path, your journey into real estate career.
Yeah, all right. Hey everyone, just want to say thank you so much for having me in this session. I think like many of you, once I was like in your shoes, where deciding really what I want to study for the rest of my life or do in the rest of my life, and I think looking back, I'm really glad that I've chose a career in real estate. So I think maybe for myself, just like what Prof. Singh mentioned, right? So maybe I'll just start off with what really got me to study real estate, or like, what is my, thought or decision making behind why I even joined NUS Real Estate. I think for me, it was more of, I knew definitely what I want to do is join a degree or do something that I'm interested in, and not just something that, your parents say that there's prospects, or, they think it's good for you, or they think you'll enjoy, or they want you to do that because, it was one of their lifelong dream. But I think for myself, like many of you, you would know yourself best, you would know what you're good at. So I think for me, the two decision-making points for me choosing real estate was, firstly, it's one of my passion. So coming out of JC, what I really like out of all the subjects I studied was geography, especially human geography. And one thing I know about human geography is basically the study of how the built environment or physical environment, how humans impact that, and likewise, it's how, the built environment and physical landscape has the power to, change the way humans interact with the environment. So whether it's creating memories, or living in it, whether the quality of life is good or not. So I think on that aspect, I knew that human geography was something I want to do. And from that on, I think during JC, I had a chance of going to, this urban planning kind of competition organized by URA, where they spoke a bit on how redevelopment of, at that time we were doing the Tanjong Pagar railway station, and thinking of ideas behind it. And basically, it was a workshop session where they told us that, in thinking what type of land use is there, and whether it's designing the building to be like south facing, north facing, to maximize like the wind flow, or the solar, to if you want to have a solar on top. I think these are the things that really got me thinking, wow, I putting myself in that position, I have the influence to affect the natural environment, or the built environment, and affect how people like live, play, and work in it. And I think to me that is something very meaningful. Then another consideration I had was that at that time, I think when coming out of JC, I was very interested in earning money. So at that time, I was just like, okay, real estate is also not just about space, right? It's about money. It's like you hear about people flipping houses here and there. You hear about, property investments. So I knew that there was the money part to real estate. So for me, I was deciding between geography, business, and real estate. And real estate was basically a combination of both. So I was like, wow, this is actually like the best of both worlds. That was the reason I joined. So I think fast forward, like what Prof. Singh and Prof. Sky mentioned, right? Like real estate, what it teaches you is very holistic. So coming to why I chose Shell as a company to work for me, I tried a lot of different things. So like you see, just now there was a slide on what kind of companies you can join, right? So like in internship, I took the chance to really figure out what part of the real estate chain I like. So there's, valuation that you can go and figure out if that's for you. There's also, a REIT management. I was working in a business trust, which is somewhat like a REIT model, where, you figure out whether you like asset management or investments. So I think really coming into corporate real estate was something that I never thought I would join, just because there wasn't a lot of talk, within when we were studying about, hey, corporate real estate is somewhere you should consider. But I think it was also because of the people in the room today, Prof. Singh and Sky. They were one of the few that encouraged me to join. And as in a company that's oil and gas related, right? What is real estate in it, or like what exactly my job is? So basically how real estate exists in like a MNC structure, or basically a big firm that doesn't do primarily real estate, right? So for example, my company is Shell, so it's in the energy sector. So how real estate play is that globally across our global portfolio, right, there's about 2.5 billion worth of assets that we occupy. So whether it's industrial assets, those oil rigs, all the way to like, onshore, offshore, or whether it's upstream, downstream, whether it's your petrol station, all the way to like your offices that you work in. We got like lubricant plants. We have all kinds of accommodation blocks to support like offsite workers. Things like this that require people to actively manage, whether it's like, buying, leasing, or whether we are opening a new plant, that there needs to be some real estate angle to it to know exactly, is this the best place to site where your plant should be? Or are you providing for the right head count for the location? What does it entail? So things like, your office design, how do you ensure that you have enough meeting room for everyone? So it's a very holistic, there's a lot of different aspects even within the corporate real estate sector that you can get involved. For myself, because I came in as a graduate, so there were a lot of opportunities that makes use of everything you learn in RE. So like, I think one thing good is that in your whole 4 years of real estate, right, you really learn everything about real estate, which makes it a very niche subject, but it also provides you the overarching angle, or like the knowledge to how to do each of the tasks handed to you well. So I think for me, like joining Shell, like there were a lot of times that are thrown into like situations that you basically don't have a lot of knowledge on, because you come in as a fresh grad, and then you are entrusted to like really big responsibilities. But I think it's because what you picked up, in each of the module, it does add up. So like, for example, I was doing a valuation exercise like 2 weeks into like coming into the company of an industrial asset in Korea. And I'm supposed to like just, do it back to back and present the values to the management like the next week. So immediately, you have to, like, one thing good about the NUS degree is that it prepares you for it. You kind of know what's expected of you, and you know exactly how to get there. It's just that, the experience will come, but at least you know how to do it. So I think that's just one of the example. And I think now also, like I'm working on a master plan, and what you learn in school is like, exactly in a master plan what is important, and then you can carry out your work accordingly. So I think throughout my 3 years in the company, I really felt that, a lot of what I learned or picked up in school, I can apply in my job. So really, I don't think it's like a waste or it's just knowledge that, I just throw back to the teacher and, return after every exam, but it's something that I could bring to my career and really make a difference. Yeah, so I think I just don't want to take so much of time, but yeah, I think I'll just share a bit of this first, and then any other questions, if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask me.
Okay, thanks, Kelly. Very interesting sharing. I think, Kelly, I mentioned to you about some of the job scope. I think the other thing which is, I think her role has also very significant impact also on the sustainability. Like as mentioned, this oil and gas industry is quite, in terms of pollution wise, is quite high. I think how do they actually compensate, through more sustainable kind of real estate is very important. I think this is probably in her part of the master planning strategy, how to make sure that some of these corporate real estate can help to reduce carbon emissions and so on and so forth. I think sustainability become very, very important area for many of these companies as well, because of this ESG movement. I think she also mentioned about the experience value, trying to ascertain valuation on industrial land in Korea. All this actually quite real because it's very international. This will lead me to introduce the next two speakers. I think I want to talk about globalization. Real estate no longer just a local brick and mortar kind of real estate, because I think you look at real estate as an asset class, it's very global. I think the next two speakers will share with you a lot more experience in terms of globalization. One of them, Isaac, is actually in the private sector, a private fund or private investment. And Lucas later I'll introduce him. He's actually more working for more like a sovereign wealth fund, aspect in the public sector institution. Isaac graduated in 2015. He also have been, this is another example during the undergraduate time. He has shown this is feasible. Actually, he took up this double degree. So he graduated in both Bachelor of Real Estate, Bachelor of Science, Real Estate with first class honor, and also the Bachelor of BBA, Accounting. So he has actually completed this within 4 years or 5 years. Yeah. So while studying, he has also opportunity to pursue a lot of internship opportunity, ranging from company like CapitaLand, Allianz, and GIC. He also represented NUS in a lot of these. We actually have exposed students to international case competition. He took part in this USC, University of Southern California, Marshall School International Real Estate Case Competition in Los Angeles, And we won the champion for that. Yes, in fact, actually, we won that international case competition for 3 consecutive years before him. His team as well. So following graduation, Isaac joined a private fund, SC Capital Partner, a real estate private equity fund manager, managing about $7 billion of asset under management, including real estate. He worked on the core plus and opportunistic investment strategy. Maybe later on, Isaac will tell you, you will learn about this core plus, value add, opportunistic kind of investment strategy for different asset classes, how you actually add value. Not only that, she also had to manage asset across different sectors like office, retail, logistics, student accommodation, and across different countries, especially in Asia Pacific. Isaac, to you now. Maybe you want to introduce about your experience. Yeah.
Hi, thanks very much, Prof. Singh. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I've prepared just a couple of slides to share as well. Thank you everyone for joining and thanks for the time. I'll just do some simple sharing on the journey of my time studying in NUS in the real estate course, and then go on to talk about where that has taken me in terms of my career and what I currently do for work. So just on this cover page, in the background, the photo is one of the logistics assets that we own in Korea, in South Korea. And that's one of the places that work has taken me. Quite fun, and get to drink some soju, bibimbap and all that. So in terms of the journey so far, I undertook and started the real estate degree in 2010. So the first 5 years were with NUS. During that time, I did an internship with Capital Malls Asia. So got to understand, what it's like working in a REIT and got a better understanding of retail assets in particular. I also undertook in 2012 a double degree. So the program, it gives flexibility to undertake, a couple of permutations, variations of courses. Dr. Sky alluded to that earlier as well. So I undertook this accounting double degree, and to cap off that busy 2012 year, the school also sent me off on exchange studies, and I was fortunate to be sent to KTH University in Sweden. Then in 2013, on the just building off that internship track record, I also undertook an internship with Allianz Real Estate. So Allianz, as you know, they are one of the larger insurance companies, and they do have a real estate investment arm as well. I think something to be said about the faculty and the alumni is that, in a couple of these companies where I undertook internships and where I subsequently landed jobs, it was very clear that the alumni, the community was very tight-knit. So when they saw that, it was me, a student from NUS real estate faculty applying, there was a bit of, you could feel that they really want you to succeed. They want to bring you in, they want to support you and support the school. So that network is really strong, and it's something that's quite unique to NUS real estate. And I say this having undertaken, studies in the NUS Business School and Accounting School as well. Over there, the cohort sizes are just a lot larger. And because, business, accounting, they're rather generic in nature. So what happens is that your schoolmates, your classmates, they go off in all sorts of directions into very different industries. And so that strength of that network gets diluted somewhat as a result. In 2014, I went on to GIC real estate team, did an internship there. We looked at publicly listed real estate companies as well as debt. We also went to LA and participated in the USC Marshall International Real Estate Case competition. The team won. And as Prof. Singh mentioned, we've won it for 3 consecutive years. And that really speaks to the caliber of the students that you'll be with, the caliber of the professors who prepare you for the competition, and caliber of the curriculum that's provided. In my last year in 2015 of university, I undertook an internship at SC Capital. So we're a real estate private equity fund manager. And again, this introduction to this fund was through one of my professors, Prof. Wong. He knew someone working there, and he said, hey, why don't you try out this guy? So I interned. Halfway through that, they offered me a full-time role, and I've been there ever since. I'm actually in a period of transition right now, and actually on Monday, this coming Monday, I'll be starting my second role at ARA. So in Singapore, ARA is better known for being the managers of Suntec REIT, ARA Logos REIT. They have about 11 REITs under management as well as private funds. So that's the journey that that I've been taken on so far since starting with NUS Real Estate. Some pictures to help illustrate a little better some of the fun. At the top left, that is me and some of the guys in Sweden on exchange going a bit crazy, playing with snow. In the top on the middle, that's us after winning that international case competition. So we beat off a couple of American universities from New Zealand. On the right with the supercar, that's the supercar we rented with the prize money, and we used that to drive to Las Vegas for some fun. At the bottom left, there's a couple of buddies in there. One of them ended up being an ex-colleague. Another one was working at the company that I'm joining next, and he actually was very useful in providing a lot of advice. So again, just want to emphasize the strength of that network and how the community is really quite strong. Lots of fun activities as well in the middle at the bottom, representing the faculty in the interfaculty games. And yeah, some of the friends we make even across batches. In the bottom right, the photo, Lucas is there. He'll be speaking right after this as well. So we're all good friends. We all keep in touch, and it's a very cohesive sort of community. Now, just touching on what I ended up doing for work. So we're a real estate fund. The firm that I am with, we had about 7 billion in assets under management. Personally, over the course of the last 6 years there, I've been involved in about $1 billion Sing dollars of assets that we acquired, 15 assets across 6 countries. So that's been quite special. The job has taken me to Korea, to Japan, Hong Kong, Australia, New Zealand. We've looked at all sorts of assets, office buildings, shopping malls, logistics assets, data centers, student housing assets, and industrial properties as well. So it's really been quite interesting. The job has been essentially, we manage money on behalf of institutional investors, sovereign wealth funds, endowments, pension plans, etc. We help them to invest it in real estate. We go around, we try to identify deals that we think are defensive, that will make them money, provide returns for them. And then we do our due diligence to try and find out any potential problems. We get involved in structuring for tax purposes, legal due diligence. We have to get an understanding of the physical aspects of the building, whether we're buying quality assets with good bones in them. We have to get an understanding of the tenants that are in the buildings and the sort of business nature of those tenants, the underlying cash flows that they provide, and the quality of those cash flows. So it's quite diverse in terms of skill sets and the things that we have to do for work. And just also a couple of trends pertaining to Asia Pacific real estate investment. The first chart on the top left, you can see the bar here for Asia Pacific. So all the institutional investors surveyed for Asia Pacific real estate, a large majority of them, 72%, they intend to increase their allocation to Asia Pacific real estate over the next 2 years. The second chart on the right, that shows how much of total allocation sovereign wealth funds are allocating to real estate. And you can see the trend very clearly, very consistently, that real estate is taking up an increasing percentage of their overall investment allocation across asset classes. And finally, the bottom left chart, it just shows Singapore among Asian real estate investors. Singapore is one of the most active, consistently the most active outbound Asian real estate investor. So if you're looking to take up real estate and doing it from Singapore, this is a great base to be starting off. And just putting myself in your shoes as well, starting off, deciding which degree, which career to undertake. I think one big consideration is whether you want to be riding on the big future trends, all the exciting things that are happening, and whether real estate by doing a degree in real estate, you'll be missing out on that. I think the answer is no. All of the big trends, whether it's big data, Internet of Things, blockchain technology, e-commerce, clean energy, or ESG, aging population or shrinking homes, which is very prevalent across Singapore, Hong Kong, and a lot of cities. I think no matter what big growth future trend you're identifying and you want to participate in, there is an avenue to capture that and ride that growth trend through real estate. So if it's Internet of Things, big data, blockchain, all these are serviced by data centers, e-commerce and clean energy, even current issues like national food security in the pandemic, all these are serviced by logistics, cold storage, science parks, etc. So really, it's quite an all-encompassing industry, and participating in it will also allow you, by extension, to participate in any large future growth trends, because we need real estate for everything that we do. So in summary, I think the real estate community is really tight-knit. That's something I really enjoyed and really stood out compared to a lot of the other courses and faculties out there. The professors are dedicated and they are well connected. There's a chance, an opportunity to leave a tangible mark. So it's really nice to be able to go around Singapore or even other parts of Asia to point out buildings and say that I was involved in that. The reason the tiles are a different color could be because of me. The reason we built something here is because of me, and it's just very satisfying to be able to physically point something out, in a couple of cities. And finally, it gives you a great opportunity to ride future trends. So that's it from me. I'll just end my sharing here and happy to take questions after. Thank you.
Thanks, Isaac. It's very interesting and inspiring talk. And I think Isaac mentioned just now about this rising allocations of institution portfolio into real estate. I think the next speaker talking about is about sovereign funds. I think probably you all heard about GIC and Temasek. Temasek is one of the sovereign wealth funds that manage our country resources. It's very important. I think this is also one of the choice employer. A lot of people may be wondering, how real estate graduate can actually enter and join one of these joint employer. And Lucas Wong is actually one of the graduated from 2015 or 2016. So he joined Temasek in 2018 as part of the real estate investment team, responsible as an assistant vice president and involved in investment opportunity globally across public and private equity, fixed income, early stage venture, as well as portfolio management of real estate company. So actually cover a whole range of asset classes, not just the physical real estate, it's cover real estate fund, equities and other real estate company as well. Prior to joining Temasek, he was with Standard Chartered Bank as an associate in the real estate investment banking coverage team. Lucas graduated in, as mentioned just now, with an honor degree from National University of Singapore with a Bachelor of Science Real Estate. And as mentioned just now, globalization, digitalization have actually shaped a lot of this trend. I think Lucas' experience at Temasek actually give him a lot of exposure to some of these transition or these changes or these paradigm kind of impacts. I will open this to Lucas for him to share with you his experience at Temasek real estate team. Lucas.
Hi, hey guys, can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Okay, hi.
Yes,
So
thanks.
first, thanks to everyone for taking a Saturday off to find out more about this program. Before you guys make one of the most important choices in, I would say, your early 20s. Before I start, maybe I just want to say that I'm incredibly honored to be back here today, even if it's virtually, to share my experience during the 4 years and how basically NUS Real Estate equipped me well for the workplace over the next 5 years after graduation. I think it also just came into my mind that I think exactly 10 years ago, I was part of the NUS open house for the real estate back in 2011. I think that's back then that I really learned a lot about this course, and I find out that this course really caught my attention, right? And when I was in the open house, I think one of the top process that I have is that this is one of the more unique programs that you can find in Singapore as well as in NUS, right? Particularly because, I mean, it's just one of the course that basically focuses the entire 4 years of your uni program into various, I would say, sub-disciplines of a very unique, field called real estate, right? So 10 years ago, I said, okay, look, this is pretty interesting. So I think it's worth giving it a shot for basically for my next 4 years of uni life, and I'll say that this is one of the best choice I've made in my 20s. So I'm a bit of a background of myself. I'm a NUS graduate from 2011 to 2015. My first job is in a Standard Chartered Bank from 2015 to 2018, and today I am currently in the real estate team in Temasek. I've been there for about close to 3.5 years. Right, Temasek should be a name that you guys would be familiar with if you follow the news, especially in Singapore. And a bit of a background. So basically, as a firm, at Temasek, basically we're 100% owned by Ministry of Finance. We basically help to invest Singapore's money to generate long-term returns with the sustainability angle in mind, as well as like something that we want to basically want to invest to shape the next stage of Singapore. Right. Today we have a portfolio size of about $300 billion, right? And real estate is about 10% of this portfolio. And being in the real estate industry and as an investor in the real estate space, from that perspective, we are always like looking for investment opportunities across various investment themes. I think some of the themes or pillars, we call it pillars, right, that we look at, including like a transformation of economies, growing middle income populations, increasing connectivity, and as well as like digitalization, right? So as part of my career in Temasek Real Estate, some of the interesting opportunities that we actually actively track, like for example, maybe as one of the highlight that we look of the things that we looked at, one of the companies that we actively track is Airbnb, in which like I think we were like a part of the early investors in. And how it translates to like basically the various themes that we look at is that we understand how basically this digital platform actually disrupt the entire like a hotel industry, and not just that, and also like the general like the tourism as well as like the consumer industry itself. And today it has grown to be one of the like the largest and most valuable growth company, at least in the real estate space. And I think this is particularly interesting given that I think the way that we perceive real estate as like maybe just like buildings is actually transforming, right? And with like tech and software coming in mind, as well as like the increasing data, like what's really interesting to see how these like various market forces changes people's view of the value of real estate today. The second thing that we are putting increasing focus on is on sustainability, which I believe like the profs have really mentioned a couple of times just now. And I think real estate is an industry that at today's stage, it is actually one of the largest top contributor, right, in terms of like say carbon emissions. So with that in mind, if we look across the next 10 to 20 years, I think we really see a need, as well as like the need for a solution to basically like find out like if there's any like basically alternative materials or like building methods or like just tracking devices to basically track and like try to reduce carbon emissions coming up from real estate. The third part about being in Temasek is that I think today we hold about a large part of our portfolio, which includes some of the major developers that you guys are familiar with, such as CapitaLand, Mapletree, Keppel, as well as Savannah Jurong. So one of the interesting work program that we have, especially during last year, during COVID, is that we actually work hand in hand with several of these companies to try to, at least from a real estate perspective, help Singapore to basically contain the pandemic. So one of the interesting projects that we did was actually working with Savannah Jurong or like and as well as Singapore Expo to basically set up the various like community care facilities, such that we are able to like build it fast enough to house like various like patients that are under quarantine. We also work with CapitaLand, particularly the Escort brand, right, to come out with like basically like travel hotels. So if you were to go to Expo today, basically you'll see like there's a like a quick pass travel hotel that allows people to come and have like meetings over like a period of 3 to 5 days. We also have direct investments across a wide mandate of real estate itself. So that includes not just like a real estate, we call it hard assets, but also like companies, platforms, funds, early stage ventures, real estate services, and things like that. Maybe to also highlight, my first job was in Standard Chartered Bank, real estate investment banking team. So one of the earlier challenge that I had before joining was that I think most, as you understand, I think most of the graduates from finance and business will end up in this highly competitive field, right? So I'm able to like basically prove to the team that, okay, basically like our experience in knowing real estate holistically can value add to the team. And that got me my full-time offer back in 2015. With that, maybe I'll move on to the second part, which is talking about how the real estate education, right, has prepared me for like the career after graduation. I'll say that the course basically is very diverse. It exposes you to like the various fields of real estate. And coming from my working experience over the last 6 years, I do feel that like the main benefits of like basically having this degree, or rather like having this 4 years of learning program from the real estate program, is that basically you understand tremendously about the things such as urban planning, property law, property management, as well as like valuation itself. I realized that, for example, when you are having like calls with like the other stakeholders, like for example, when you call the valuers to ask about like how do they like value assets or things like that, at an earlier part of the career, I'm able to have like a meaningful conversation with them really, just given that basically in the last 4 years, basically you are being trained to look at valuation, for example, right? And I think it came to me that basically unknowingly, right, you have already been like tapping into like a lot of this kind of knowledge that you built in the past, such as like urban planning. So you know a lot about like a plot ratio or like a master plan that URA has come up with. And yeah, so that really gave you like a early strong footing in the real estate industry when you start to go into the corporate world. And maybe for the last part, I'll talk about what I really like about the course, which is like a really like how dynamic this program is. And on hindsight, I think what we learn is really extremely relevant to the trends that we see around us. And I was really impressed by how the school paid like quite a lot of attention to like a break away from like just the traditional way of teaching, and they try to make it a lot more like engaging and interactive. And that was like a catalyst for me to like further explore into like the real estate finance industry, right? I think I remember during the last year of my course, like alumni I think we have like alumni from like the finance field coming to meet us like once every week, just to like basically share their experience and like prepare us for the corporate world. And the ability to learn from these people firsthand and listening to their experience really helped to like pave the way, right? And provide additional motivation and comfort to do well in the, for example, the real estate specialization, and pursue a career that I am interested in. And having this specialization also highlight the heighten basically my appreciation for the real estate industry. And you also learn from like say project-led like a class. So we have a lot of projects that allows you to like work hands-on to basically find out about how this industry expands into the various like a finance or like urban planning itself. And in short and in conclusion, I think the professors and the career advisors, they have been like extremely helpful, and they are very proactive in guiding us towards like finding our first job after before graduation. And after being exposed to the real estate finance and investment industry through classes and internships, I was extremely inspired. And the technical and soft skills also helped to like pave the way and lay the foundation to like to where I am today, right? I think that's all, right? If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer you guys in the later part of this seminar. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Lucas, for the sharing. I think Lucas mentioned, I think what we actually provide with the student, we lay down the foundation for the student in terms of the knowledge on real estate and so on. I think this is a very important kind of knowledge for the student, you know, in the future to understand and to manage the dynamic nature of the real estate. It's very, very complex because as Lucas mentioned, because of the pandemics and significant impacts on many ways, the way we live, the way we work, and also to to play. I think there are a lot of things had to be relooked into in the future kind of strategy. So Temasek, as you know, they are the major owner of many of these property company, CapitaLand and all this. How to transform all this company is something that require a lot long-term kind of planning. So now let's move on after hearing from two our alumni on the finance aspect and also Kelly's from the corporate real estate. Now we move on to the public sector. I think our students, our graduates also play an important role in the public sector. This is just two of the government agencies that alumni involved in. There are many other government agencies, HDB, URA, Inland Revenue Authority, and so on. But these are also two very important public agency or public authority overseeing and also managing the land. The first one, Singapore Land Authority, they are managing the land resources. They are the custodian of our Singapore state land resources. The next alumni, Tian Fong, is currently an assistant manager of the project and development departments at Singapore Land Authority, in short SLA. His job scope involves planning and executing asset enhancement work for residential estate property, as well as managing interim accommodation facility used for COVID-19. So related purposes, it's very important how to use some of these transitory property to house some of these COVID kind of related kind of need. He previously managed tenancy of state property leased out for commercial education use. He graduated in with a Bachelor of Science in Real Estate in 2017 with honors, highest distinction, going to first class honor. He was also a student at the College of Alice and Peter Tan's. During his study, he completed the semester. This is a student exchange program at University of Aberdeen, Scotland, as part of this SDE student exchange program. He has the opportunity to represent SDE at the USC, I mentioned University of Southern California International Case Competition as well. He was awarded the SLI undergraduate scholarship during his time at NUS, so there are many scholarships available for the graduate as well. Prior to that, he graduated from Singapore Polytechnic, majoring in business administration. I think that before I hand over to Tian Fong, I also like to introduce the next speaker, also in the public sector, Toh Wei Jie. Toh Wei Jie actually working in JTC Corporation, which is our industry developer, also industry planner, town planner. But Jie is an assistant industry development manager at JTC Corporation. He managed Singapore built environment portfolio ranging from local SME to large MNC. Industrial land is very important in attracting foreign direct investment to Singapore. So Singapore has one of the most efficient industry policy to prepare the land for some of these MNC. So the most recent one you heard about is how they are trying to attract BioNTech to set up vaccination plant in Singapore. They actually play a very important role how to attract some of these companies. Beyond this management, he contributed with economic agency. He collaborated with economic agency to accelerate industry transformation and conceptualization next generation estate, as well as manage partners to build collaborative ecosystem to catalyze economic growth. He also assist company to adapt and remain competitive amid the COVID pandemics. He was awarded a midterm scholarship from JTC Corporation and hold a Bachelor of Science degree distinction in real estate from NUS. And he also graduated with a Master of Science degree distinction in urban regeneration from University College London under the scholarship of JTC. I remember he actually went on to do his master immediately after his BSc. So let's hear from our two alumni in the public sector. Maybe who would like to start first? Tian Fong.
Hi, thank you, Prof. Singh. Give me a moment while I
Tian Fong.
share the slides.
Yeah.
Hi. Okay, are you able to see the slides?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Hi, my name is Tian Fong. When I choose real estate as one of my courses for for my university, I believe many of my peers and even you, if you choose real estate, your aunties or your uncles during the next Chinese New Year, they'll probably tell you this sentence, boy, next time you can help me sell my house. But in fact, real estate is, like what Prof. Singh has said, is one of the least understood courses. Real estate is much more than being a property agent. Even though many of my peers, they went on to become very, very good property agent due to what they learned in the course itself. There's many, many different aspects of real estate, such as finance, development, public policies. So my name is Tianfeng. I'm from the Singapore Land Authority. I was from the real estate class of 2017, same as Wei Jie. I was awarded the undergraduate midterm scholarship when I was in NUS itself, and I'm currently working in the SLA leasing division.
Yeah, hello, I'm Wei Jie. After my real estate, I did my real estate in 2017. I actually I furthered my studies in urban regeneration in UCL in 2018. I was awarded the JTC undergrad midterm scholarship, and currently I'm working in the JTC, Urban Solutions and Construction Division.
Okay, just in case you're wondering, both of us are not brothers, but we are second cousins. And it's a funny story. We didn't know we are related until we were in the course together. So maybe I'll just do a self-intro of my job in SLA. So I'm in the development and technology team. Now we call it the projects and development team. So what we do is we do asset enhancement initiatives for the black and white bungalows. So SLA actually manages most of the black and white bungalows in Singapore. These black and white bungalows are typically 80 to 100 years old. So they require some type of uplifting or very delicate care to this type of asset classes. So one of my job scope is to upgrade this kind of colonial era houses for modern living. And another part of my job scope is to develop the one leasing system for our officers to manage their portfolio easily. And previously I was in the commercial leasing team. So essentially you are an account manager, you manage the tenancies of probably about 50 to 80 state properties. And it could have a wide range of users ranging from residential to office, to retail, to school, or to even plant nurseries. So all these buildings are actually old state properties, that has been returned to the government. And our role in commercial leasing is to repurpose these buildings and put it to better use and generate revenue for the government. So as you can see from the photo on the right, this is actually at Dempsey. Dempsey was previously used as like army barrack. We repurpose it, to become a lifestyle retail, F&B enclave for more of the wealthy class of people. And in case you're wondering, if you work in a public sector, you won't have overseas exposure or experience. That's totally not true. In fact, I was given the opportunity to go to Europe to do an overseas study trip to understand how the other governments in Europe, like UK, France, Netherlands, how they repurpose their government buildings, their state properties into better users.
Yep. So like Prof. Singh mentioned earlier, JTC is actually a step board under the Ministry of Trade and Industry. So we actually work very closely with the economic agencies like Enterprise Singapore and Economic Development Board. So basically, all these economic agencies will actually try to attract investment into Singapore, and our job at JTC is actually to provide the industrial facility. We make sure that we resolve their real estate needs. So basically, when we talk to companies, we understand, we try to anchor them. We understand their real estate needs, how can we actually help to facilitate them setting up their facilities. And ultimately, what we are looking at is value add, job creation, good quality jobs for Singaporeans, and like some of my peers mentioned earlier, I'm actually from the construction department, so I actually manages around 100 construction companies. So some of them actually are contractors, and some of them are actually material suppliers. So like some of my peers mentioned earlier, what the real estate is actually beyond just physical real estate. We also look into how more into sustainability, how we actually encourage companies to adopt more R&D to actually innovate, improve construction methods. So we actually link them up with government agencies such as BCA, SimTech, A-Star, to actually encourage them to adopt more innovation. with that, more companies are, it's actually moving away from the typical construction that you're actually seeing today. Yeah, so we also conceptualize next-gen industrial estates. We actually talk to companies, understand what's the needs, their real estate needs. So we actually plan for a new estate. So you actually see in the news that actually Sonai Gado estate will actually be redeveloped into some agri-tech farm. So we actually understand the company's need. Actually, we group them, understand them. We did master planning to actually plan for the next generation estates. So beyond that, we also build collaborative ecosystem by actually understanding what are the companies need. We help them matchmake with IHLs to build a talent pipeline, economic agencies to provide grants for the companies to actually adopt more technology in the process. Yeah, so maybe I can share a bit more about the real estate student life. Basically, it's quite a bit, it's quite different from FASS or other courses where you actually have a lot of exams. But for real estate, I think we are more focused on project work and presentations. And the curriculum actually uses a lot of real life examples. Sometimes we are given a real estate case. We will have to value a certain plot of land, propose a development, and actually calculate the profits that the developer can actually make from the development. There's a lot of site visits, so you actually walk the sites to actually understand the sites. Networking with the real estate industry people. Internship. So I actually did 3 internships with JTC, year 2, year 3, and year 4. So JTC as an industrial developer, they actually have different arms. So you can actually explore, let's say, land planning, the public policy aspect, and actually the industry development side, where you are actually involved in the lease management. So in year 3, Sem 2, you will actually do a dissertation to wrap up your course. Yeah, so both Tianfeng and I was also given the opportunity to represent Department of Real Estate in Southern California. We also won and spent the money by doing a trip to Las Vegas. We were quite honored to be able to represent NUS Real Estate.
Yeah, like what Wei Jie say, we in real estate there is many different opportunities for you to travel overseas, but of course due to you will have to depend on the COVID-19 situation. For me myself, I had the opportunity to go to Scotland, Aberdeen, to do an exchange. This is me traveling around the world, and you can see Wei Jie in some of the photos. He came to the UK to look for us, to travel with us around the world. So maybe we would like to just share with you some tips, how to thrive in real estate if you want to enter this course. So real estate, what we say is all about there's a lot of project work. So you need to learn to work as a team. And the course uses a lot of real life examples. So you need to read the newspaper for all the real estate related news. You will get a lot of opportunities to network with real estate industrial people, the alumni, and even and among your peers also. So most important is to make friends, and have fun within the course. Yeah. And because both me and Wei Jie have gotten the scholarship, so we wanted to share some tips for you. Government agencies like SLA, JTC, HDB, URA, MND, there's STB, Sentosa Development Corporations. They are very keen on taking students from the real estate degree. So actually, I encourage you to go sign up for all these scholarship interviews if you can. Even if you can't now, during your midterm, they are always very open to give you a scholarship if you can perform well. So how some here are some of the tips how you can ace the scholarship interview. So read up on recent government policies. They'll most likely ask questions on all this. Demonstrate your understanding of the intention behind the various policies for the agencies that you're applying for. You must show that you're a team player because real estate is all about teamwork. Be confident and rest well the day before. Okay, so that's the end. Pass the time back to Prof. Singh.
Yeah. Thanks, Vijay and Tianfeng. It's a very interesting sharing. I think now you heard about the other two alumni from the public sector. In fact, our alumni, our graduate actually also in other sectors or private, in other real estate industry as well, in the private sector, ranging from development to consultancy firm. I think there's always this misconceptions, real estate graduate who's a real estate agent, real estate graduate end up in real estate agency. This is just one of the pathway, one of the option they choose. Because if you look at the industry, real estate agency industry, there are about 31,000 of the agents in the industry. But our graduate, if you look at it, we're established. It's a very small cohort. We started with only about 20 students. We have already produced or trained about 50 years of graduate, more than 50 years. Our graduate total number is around 3,000 plus to 4,000. It cannot be every one of them being in the industry, but some of them have done well. They have made the choice. But again, there are a lot of pathway for our graduate, as mentioned. So I actually mindful about the time. I think many of you all probably have a lot of questions you would like to find out or you would like to learn from our panel of alumni. Maybe I just open the time to the participant or to the floor. Any of you would like to ask questions? Either you unmute yourself or you can type your question in the chat room.
Yes, participants, please feel free to ask your questions. So like what Prof. Singh has shared, you could click on the raise hand button or just input your questions into the chat box. Please note that we'll call your name, and when your name is called, the host will unmute you, then you can proceed to ask your question. Yeah, so fire away.
Any question from the audience you want to find out from them? These are the real alumni. They actually graduated only 5 years ago. So this is only part of our younger alumni. In fact, you look at in many of the earlier alumni, they are actually holding very senior position in something that in the industry as well. Many of them are still very active. So as some of like Vijay and other Tianfeng I mentioned, there is a small cohort group. So the students are also the student alumni and the graduate are very closely knitted because I think they know each other because of the small group. In the earlier year, we only admit about 20 students, and recent year we took in about 120 to 140. Last year we have a larger group of 159. So it's very small cohort. So and they know each other very well in the sense, and also because of the internship opportunity, the alumni network, they give them a lot of guidance and also mentorship to help them preparing for the job as well. Right. Any of you have any specific question you want to find out from them? Opportunity other than courses, travel, and friends. Interestingly, some of them also meet their wife and partner in the class as well. I just found out from Tianfeng.
Yeah, actually, some of the good things that I get from this course was, I met my long lost relative Wei Jie, and I also met my wife in real estate.
In the program, yeah.
Yeah, so it was quite a fulfilling experience for me throughout the 4 years. Yeah.
Didn't know Wei Jie is your cousin. Both do.
Yeah, I also didn't know until I met him.
Yeah.
met him in this course itself. Yeah, I think there's some question for there's a question in the chat. Yeah.
Okay, so how will the real estate industry? Yeah, maybe I read out the questions or. What will AI greatly affect the job prospect on real estate graduate this first question. And last question, how will the real estate industry be evolved in the upcoming year after COVID-19 in terms of technology and improvement? How should we better equip these changes? Maybe these two are related questions, technology and also the COVID impact. Maybe I'll just open this question to some of you, because I think many of you are planning or looking into policy strategy to deal with this issue. A lot of uncertainty because of this COVID actually causes disruption to the way we live, we work and play. So well, who want to start first? Technology, pandemics. Should we start from the Lucas or Isaac first, then we move to Caris?
Sure. Maybe I'll take first question on maybe COVID-19. I think this was as part of last year. I recall we had this particular webinar, right? Just to talk through like the various impacts of COVID on real estate. I think both in terms of like what we see in our daily job, as well as that, I think like back when we are studying, we are always being prepared for changes in this particular industry. And I think what you're seeing in COVID today will have like quite a lot of impact in terms of how people value, like say office or retail. I would say that COVID basically helps to like accelerate certain changes, particularly in the digitalization front, right? So we see that a lot of times, for example, one of the interesting thing that we see is that, for example, for construction industry, right? So how people used to like house, like, you know, like your foreign dormitory workers, right? Right now it's pretty much like technology enabled, such that like basically they have like enhanced tracking and things like that. Another thing that we also notice is that, okay, a lot of us are spending more time working from home, right? So that basically means that for office owners itself, we have to rethink about how we think of like the role of office itself. And this is a question that I think we will continue to ask ourselves. But I would say that this is not a new issue, right? So like we will draw parallel to, for example, e-commerce, right? So I know everyone here shops in Taobao or like Lazada nowadays, right? So how it disrupts retail is probably something that we can learn from, and like basically like put in these learning lessons to what we are seeing today in the office environment. Yeah, maybe I'll leave Isaac to answer like the second part of the question.
Okay, sure. Thanks, Ming-Yang. Thanks, Lucas. So I think the second question was also around AI, right? Whether AI will greatly affect the job prospects of real estate graduates. I don't believe so. So I think AI will definitely be it is already out there disrupting all industries, including real estate. But whether it will disrupt the job prospects per se, I think that's quite a firm no from me. It will definitely change the way we look at real estate and how we decide and choose to invest in real estate. But I don't believe that it will take away the job prospects. I think one of the characteristics of real estate, if you carve out residential, and you're just talking about office, retail, hotels, logistics, you will find that they are quite unique. All of these individual buildings, they are quite unique. They vary greatly in size, in value, in their characteristics. Quite unlike a lot of the residential buildings where, in an entire development, you can have 1,000 buildings which are the same. And in that sort of scenario for residential, for example, where there's a lot of homogeneity across the product, then it is easier to adopt big data and apply AI, because then you can automate things a lot more easily. When the asset class for the other sectors, office, etc., they are so big and lumpy and they differ greatly, then such systems they will struggle a lot more to process and to comprehend. And the other part, so in essence, no. Maybe for residential, it will just change the way we work, the way we choose to invest, the way we analyze the data and make investment decisions, for example, or locational decisions. I see AI more as a tool rather than a disruptor in terms of job prospects. The second thing to that really is AI is a big consumer of data, of energy, and all of this needs a big space to be located. Even though it can be digital, you need a physical space, for example, in data centers. So from that perspective, there will always be an angle for it from real estate service provision to host the location for servers and the like.
Thanks for that. How about Caris? Do you have any thing to share on top of preparing for these COVID impacts? Because I think it may also affect some of your corporate real estate production plan and so on.
Yeah, so I think for myself, I'll just touch base a bit on the office space because, for corporate real estate, bulk of our portfolio actually sits within the office space, whether in industrial assets or our commercial buildings. So I think for this, the change we see is definitely now with everybody or most of the people across globally working from home. So the question is, so what is our officers doing, right? They're just sitting there burning cash, not doing anything. So I think one thing that everybody needs to know about real estate is that it's a derived demand, and real estate is pretty much spaces where we interact in. And previously, the classification of real estate has always been a very fixed asset class, where office is only you can do office related work. Home you only can live and play. But now, there's more of a blur between all these classes, right? Now home is actually where you work, live and play, not just live and play. So I think on this, right, how the real estate industry is going to move is that there will be more of this dilution of what is a fixed asset class, but more of a combination of a few in one. And how I see with all this technology and improvements brought about by COVID, meaning that now we are having this call virtually when previously it was not so easy to do so. I think, and how we should be better equipped for these changes. I mean, when changes come, I think one thing that all humans like ourselves are capable of is adapting to this change. And I think as real estate graduates, right, no matter whether you're working or you're studying, right, I think always be on top of trends and on top of skills that you can pick up. And during school time is the best time to pick up a lot of new skills, right? Whether it's a new software that you want to learn, whether it's AutoCAD or Photoshop or just anything in particular, whether it's Python coding. So things like this is that how we should be better equipped. I think just upskill yourself whenever there's an opportunity, and that just keep up with the time. And you're young, you definitely can do it. Yeah.
Okay, thank Caris. How about public sector, Vijay and Tian Fong? How COVID have actually affect or impacted your policy making? Because I think moving forward, sustainability, health and welfare, as Prof. Wong mentioned earlier on, become very important in the public policy planning as well. Vijay and Tian Fong, because I think some of the land under SLA have been temporarily reused or repurposed for migrant worker dormitory. And this is a very, very important aspect as well because of the flexibility. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, so actually the Singapore Land Authority, keep a stock of vacant properties, for emergency users such as, the COVID-19 pandemic. So these kind of properties, are vacant schools, that has been long returned to the state. We maintain it, when there's an emergency, we will activate it, we'll hire managing agent to manage the place. SLA will manage all these type of properties. During the COVID-19 pandemic, also, I was also involved in procuring hotels for stay home notice, government quarantine facilities, for this type of users. So all in all, COVID-19 has affected most of our accounts, our tenancies, so ranging from commercial users to retail to office to even the farms. The government need to the officers, if you're in the government sector, you come up with certain policies to help your tenants, to help them tide over this this pandemic. So some of the things that we have done, it could be introducing rent-free models or interest-free late payment installment. You as an officer who manage a certain types of account, you yourself, you are given the flexibility to give in ideas to say, okay, maybe because you're more specialized in certain areas. Like for example, your accounts is mostly of the retail shops. How they are suffering. You connect with those tenants on a very regular basis. What kind of help they need from the government. So you have to come up with policies, put it up to the management for approval, for this kind of clearance, and you execute this kind of you execute the policies to help them.
Vijay, got anything to add?
Yeah, on our side, I think Tim Fong has mentioned largely what the public service. I think especially for the last year, we have been extremely busy. Beyond our core job, I think we are focused a lot more on, I mean, some of them are actually deployed onto the ground to do some social distancing ambassadors. But for myself, especially for the construction industry, what we're trying to do now is actually with the reopening, I mean, people are going back to work. We are looking at how we can actually transform, uplift the whole construction industry, adopt more technology, and actually reduce our reliance on foreign workers. Actually, in this pandemic, you can see that actually without foreign workers, a lot of our construction projects actually slowed down, increased construction costs, and ultimately that affect the bottom line of developers. So on our side, we are working with agencies such as BCA, MOM to see how we can actually resolve this issue of our lessees. Make sure that in the next 2 to 3 years, they can recover fast from this pandemic and ultimately get back on track. And in the future, maybe increase the productivity and efficiency of construction sector. Yep.
Right. Thanks, Vijay. And I think many of you have questions related to the cost structures and so on. I'll leave, we actually take notes of your question. We'll actually put this up in the FOQ, frequently asked questions, to answer some of your questions. I think to wrap this out, I think just to quickly sum up some of the comments, I think a lot of you mentioned about AIs and all these impacts. And so AI, as Isaac mentioned, is not really a disruptor. If you can use it, you can how to leverage AI, you can enhance or supplement the your application or knowledge in the real estate. And to sum up this, I think one of the participants asked a question about difference comparing to business and other graduate and how real estate graduate have advantage. I think Isaac had mentioned some of these. Maybe leave it, because I think compared to finance and business, I mentioned just now, it's a discipline. You learn about this discipline, the skill. Where in the real estate, it's a very specialized asset class. You need to apply some of these discipline you learn, whether it's finance, real estate, or law, into the asset, enhancing the value and asset and so on. Maybe to wrap up, maybe Isaac, you want to just say something about your experience, because you have a double degree in accounting and also real estate. Yeah, maybe this is a question that you can share.
Okay, sure, Prof. Singh, happy to. So yeah, I think having undertaken degrees in both courses and specifically in terms of real estate investment and asset management, there are definitely benefits to what you learn from each course, business, real estate, or accounting. But I think where the real estate course really helps us shine is that physical knowledge one. So we go a lot into the physical knowledge of the building workings, urban planning workings. That's really specific to the real estate industry. The accounting and business courses, they're really generic and broad. If you do have concerns about being too niche or those students having an advantage, I would say where the accounting and business students might have a slight advantage over a generic real estate student is in terms of, say, financial statement analysis, which usually you do a lot more when you analyze public markets, listed companies, etc. That said, the best way, and the school offers flexibility to mitigate any sort of threat from the students from those courses, is to go there, your elective modules, do a minor, do a major in business, in accounting, go there, take some modules, and then you can complement your knowledge, your skill set, and then you'll be a lot more versatile as a student. Or if you want to have a bit more brain damage, you can do a double degree.
Okay, thanks, Isaac. I think this leads us to the end of this session. I think many of you still have questions. We'll put the question in our FOQ list. And to end this session, I would like to thank all participants for taking time, and really looking forward to seeing you all in the coming years and at the Department of Real Estate. And also to our alumni and speakers, I would like to thank all of them, Carries, Isaac, Lucas, Wei Jie, and Tian Feng, and also Yiming for emceeing this session. I also like to thank my colleague Candy, Zainab, Krista, and many others who actually helped together to put together this session, and also my colleague Kian for organizing this event together with the colleague. And lastly, to thank our dean for supporting, to give us this opening speech. Hope to see you soon in real estate course. If you have further questions, you can actually email your question to this email there, askti@nus.edu.sg. Yeah, we hope to hear your feedback as well if you have any valuable comments and suggestions, so you can help us to improve our future event. Hope the information are useful. If you, this is how you can find out more. This QR code here, please take note of this. If you like to review or you like to look at more about this course, you can actually find out more about this PSC Real Estate program through this QR code. Right. With that, I'd like to thanks again everyone for the time and have a good weekend. And also a belated Hari Raya Aidilfitri. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, bro.
Bye.
Thanks.